putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
As you guys know, there are three things that you should not discuss in public, in company. What do they say, in good company or something like that? It is religion, sex, and politics. So welcome to the Kevin Jackson Show, where we will discuss religion, sex, and politics quite extensively. And I'm coming off the heels of this discussion around gay Elijah Daniel. And the reason why I did two segments on that subject that I only planned on doing one is I wanted to sort of segue into another discussion that I had with a friend of mine who is he's an agnostic. And he says, we were having this discussion around, would you denounce Christ to save yourself from Islam? You know, in other words, somebody's got a knife to your throat, and they're like, if you say that you now love the Quran, you love Allah, and you will denounce Christ, then you can live. And so this friend of mine, who's a radio show host, very popular one, he says, of course I denounce Christ. He goes, Christ would know that when I got to heaven afterwards, you know, dying of a natural death somewhere along the way, that I didn't mean that I only said that for that reason. And okay, I get it. I can understand an agnostic saying that. And so I said to him, well, that's not the case, man. You know, I said that what life is about, it's a series of tests for you. And here's my theory. I don't know if you guys may disagree. If you want to chime in on this, contact me at kjradio.com or call the show at 844-551-8255. But here's what I said. I said, look, it's a test. When you were in your mother's womb, you in another world, you had no ability to make right, wrong decisions, whatever. All the decisions that were made for you in that world were made by the organism that played God to you. And that organism was your mother. If she had taken drugs, you took drugs. She smoked, you smoked, etc. She determined if you're going to be born. She literally had the ability of life and death over you, and she lets you be born. But once you get born into the world, into God's world, it's all God's world, but you know, go with me on this. You now have ability to choose. You can choose going in the way of temptation, going in the way of doing wrong or whatever, or you cannot. And to believe that there's nothing beyond this is really I find it interesting, given that I've already proven to most people in my first book, The Big Black Lie, I talk about this subject and say, if you don't know how you got born into this world, why can you not believe that you're going to pop out of some big, the equivalent of a vagina, into another new world? How do you not know that? We call her Mother Earth. Why can't Mother Earth birth us into a whole nother realm that we know nothing about? We search the cosmos and we're fascinated by the distance of light years that things are away, and how will we ever time travel and get to this or that? We've got, satellites taking pictures of things up in space, and we can't believe that there's something else. And all this vastness, we can't believe, and we can't figure, I'm talking about as agnostics, and we can't figure out that there's probably something beyond this that we want to go to. Oh, Kevin, I can't believe that we're all going to burn in hell if we do this. Okay, fine. Look, I get that the imagery hell is a whole different concept when you think about heaven. So is heaven, by the way. You may say, oh man, my little drop of heaven is when I'm sitting along a stream, at a campsite with a fire going, and we're singing Kumbaya and roasting marshmallows. Okay, trust me, that ain't the heaven we're talking about. But that may be your definition of heaven. Your definition of hell may be what the Bible conjures or what somebody tells you. Who knows? But all I can tell you is hell can be brought to you in a lot of ways. So back to what you denounce. So my buddy admits that he shied away from religion. He says, and it's dogmatic, even under the most dire circumstances, that one should be able to denounce his or her faith in order to survive. So I said to him, so in other words, worldly life is all there is for you. See, that's what you're saying. He's saying the only thing that matters in life is this life. if I don't believe in this other thing, I have to fight for this life with all the gusto I have. And I think to myself, dude, everybody dies. Everybody's going to die. I don't care how long man works to preserve himself. One day man will live to be 200 years old, and he will regret it. He will regret it. I mean, think of all well, Kevin, if I could live to be 200 and still feel like I'm 20, you still wouldn't want it. Believe me, think it through. Think of all the aspects of life beyond what you realize it to be. This finite thing that ends in, 70, 80, 90 years old, whatever that number is. Think about how you've rationalized birth and death and all the things in between as it is now. So if you do believe that worldly life is all there is, then I agree. If a Muslim wants to cut off your head, you better say whatever it takes for them to say it. But for me, it's a short-sighted view, because it implies that the only threat from Islam I would face is that moment, right? He says to me, Kevin, I won't cut off your head if you denounce Christ. Okay, I denounce Christ. Now you're part of Islam. So what that means is everybody around the world is doing this. Everybody's denouncing Christ. So we're going to live under the caliphate. All right? We will succumb to Islam. What happens to your way of life? Now, as a guy, I told this to a feminist the other day. I said, hey, look, as a guy, I would love to go to Islam just to shut you feminists up. Because then you have no voice. Do you understand that by not going to Islam, I'm fighting for you? I'm fighting for your crazy views. I'm fighting for the ability for you to say, I hate men. That's what I'm fighting for. I'm fighting for you to believe that men are oppressing you in all kinds of ways, because I want to keep you from an oppression you don't even realize. But here's the real question. What do you teach somebody when you don't stand up for something? Because he says to me, Kevin, would you say that of your sons if they were to be faced with that? And I said, yes. See, now with my kids, and I go, okay, so let's just go there. So you have something you believe in, right? You believe in your children, right? Yeah. Okay, do you think that the Bundys believed in Ted? Do you believe that the Gacy's believed in Gacy? Do you believe that the Dahmers believed in Jeffrey Dahmer? If you want to believe in your children as your, as some savior thing, you are out of your mind. But here's what's interesting. I'm just telling you, kids are going to let you down the same way parents are going to let down kids. We can believe in each other in the sense that I'll back you. And I tell my kids all the time, I've had issues with my oldest son for years. I mean, we've had, a relationship that's strained. It continues to be. And through no fault of my own. I'll be honest with you, it's not a fault of my own. It's some growing up that he has to do. But I tell him, here's what you can know in the world. No matter what, there's somebody willing to give their life for you. Somebody out there will jump in front of a bullet to save your life, will jump in front of a car, will fight 50 people to save your life. That's your dad. Because I'll do that in a minute. Now, do you believe they could believe that about me if I would denounce Christ? Because it's easy to talk about, my life is when it comes to my kids, my life is this or that. Really? Prove it to me. Because if you don't understand there's something bigger than you, that something awaits you that's bigger than you, and you won't give your life for that, and you want to convince you, Kevin, I'd give my life for you. I'm not convinced. See, he can be convinced. If I tell you I'll give my life for you, I'll give my life for you. You don't have to guess. I'm in it. Under pressure, this guy's saying to me, I'll do what it takes to survive. Because this life is all I got. That's what he's telling you. And no matter how many ways he wants to convince you, this buddy of mine, no. When it comes to my kids or protecting my wife or what, no, you won't. No, you won't. You'll let it go. Because in the back of your mind, you know what you're saying? This is all I got. And he's sitting there going, well, what? If you won't do it for something that's bigger than you, you're telling me this is bigger than you? You want me to believe that protecting your family is bigger than you. But I don't believe it, because if you won't protect something that you believe doesn't exist, if you can't protect this bigger ideal, you won't protect other stuff. I know that. I know cowards, because I'm not one. Anyway, I'm curious what you guys think. Let me know. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. Back in a minute.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.